Hey y'all, it's Savannah and this is Savannah Says. Today I'm here with my first ever book haul, and I love watching book hauls. I like watching them when they're like really long because I love consumerism, and I also like watching unhauls because I feel like I struggle to get rid of things, so I like watching other people get rid of their stuff. And I don't foresee this being something that I do regularly just because I live in a small ass apartment. This is the only bookshelf that I have, and I don't really have wall space to put like shelves. Overall, I just don't have the space to have a bunch of physical books, so I tend to not really buy books. I tend to rent them from the library or read on Scrib or Kindle Unlimited. I do buy a lot of Kindle books though, usually because they have like a lot of sales. Maybe one day if someone's interested in that, I could like go through the books that I buy on my Kindle or go through like my physical TBR. I try to only buy books that I think I'm going to like though, or buy books that I've read and have liked. So I try to keep it limited. I try to just buy things that I think I'm gonna like and or things that I already know I like, or like the next book in a series, etc. So I don't just have like a bunch of random things that I've got no clue about. But in this haul, there are a couple of things that I did a cover buy for, so hopefully they're good. Anyway, so the first thing that I got was The Path of Destruction, which I always talk about this book. I've brought it up many times. I don't know if these videos have been posted at the time of my recording this, but at the time of recording this video, I have listened to this on audio, gave it 5 stars. The second book in the series, which is The Rule of Two, and then the third, which is The Dynasty of Evil. And so these 3 books are a part of the Bane trilogy, and it is a Star Wars legend novel series, which basically the legend novels take place like, so the legend novels take place before episode 4 of Star Wars, which is A New Hope. And these books in particular take place, I think it's like 70-ish years before A New Hope. So it's kind of frequent to like the beginning of the timeline. But yeah, these are about Darth Bane. He's a Sith Lord. I don't really know how to explain it. These books are good. If you are into Star Wars, I highly recommend you get them. My friend Drew recommended that I read them, and Drew has good taste, so I will say with confidence that if you like Star Wars, you will like these books. Currently listening to The Rule of Two, which is the second book in the series, and I'm not that far in. I'm like 20 pages in, which I think is like a half hour on the audio. I'm not exactly sure, but good. The second thing that I got is Moon Called by Patricia Briggs, and this is the first book in the Mercy Thompson paranormal / urban fantasy series, and I have read this before. I read the first 12. The 13th book comes out, I want to say either this month or maybe it's August, but definitely by summer's end the 13th book will be out. And this is again an urban fantasy series about a woman named Mercy Thompson, who Mercy is native, and the tribe that she is from has like roots in transformation magic, I guess is the best way to explain it. So she can shift into a coyote, which is not really like helpful in battle, but she's also immune to magic because of her magical roots. So she kind of is friends and acquaintances with a lot of magical creatures, which is where like the urban fantasy part of it comes in. And there is a romance. It's not like overtly romantic, but she has a husband in this. Like eventually she gets a husband and they date or whatever, so that part is cute. But overall, I think this is just a really good series. If you like urban fantasy, those series last forever, and like I said, there's 12 books, and these books are all relatively short. This is like 300 pages. So the stories are really quick. So yeah, if you're into urban fantasy, you might like these. Next up, we have the first 3 books in the Plated Prisoner series. The first book being Gild, Glint, third book Gleam, and the 4th book is Glow, all by Raven Kennedy. Glow comes out tomorrow at the time of recording this, so I'm so excited. I'm gonna read that on my phone. The paperback won't be out until like July, but yeah, these books, I think I've talked about them on the channel before. Basically is a fantasy romance-ish series that's based off of the Midas fairy tale. And yeah, I really like these books, even though I know I talk about them and I say that I gave it 3 stars because they were long and the plot was slow, but like I think having read all 3 that are out right now, that I appreciate them more. Like if just reading the first one, I was not happy with how slow the plot went, but seeing how it built up, the payoff in the third one in Gleam really, like, it did it for me. So it comes out tomorrow. I'm really excited, and I just wanted to buy these because I actually really like them, and I think that I know that I would read them again because the 5th one comes out I think later this year, and I'm willing to like throw a book at anyone who's gonna read the shit that I read, so that's that. Next up, we have Extasia by Clare Legrand, and I bought this because I picked it from my jar for my summer ween challenge, but also I've just wanted to read this for a while, and every time I scroll past this cover on the internet, I really want to read that. I don't know, it just looks really cool. I don't really know what it's about. I think this girl's a witch and she's being sacrificed as like a human sacrifice, but yeah, this pops up on a lot of horror lists for like horror books of the year. I think this came out this year. Yeah, this came out this year, so this is is fairly new, which is probably why I see it all the time. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this, and now that I have the book, I can just get started. Next up, I have this book called The Might, which is by a Norwegian author. Her name is Siri. I want to say Petterson. I would say Peterson, but it's probably Petterson. This series is called the Raven Ring series, but I fucked up, and this is the third book in the series, not the first one. So if you're Googling this is the third book in the series, and these are all translated, which is why it's a little confusing to like look them up. The first one I think is called Odin's Ring, I think. But overall, this is a Norse fantasy based off of, well, obviously it's Norse, but this is a Norse fantasy based in like mythology. So the main character, from what I understand, is like a child of Odin, which in the town that she lives is not, people don't like that. She's kind of an outcast, and it said there's a forbidden romance and there's like an adventure, and I'm assuming there's magic involved because Odin. So yeah, I don't know. It sounded really good, and it has really good reviews on Goodreads. I think the average is like in the 4-star, which is good for Goodreads. So I'm definitely gonna buy the first one, and I'm gonna let y'all know. Next up, I have A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. And before I talk about what this is, I just want to say that yeah, I bought this cover off of Etsy because the original cover, jail immediately. Whoever designed this ugly ass cover, they like fucked up these books. These books used to have the cutest fucking covers. Like, this is the first book in the series, like this is cute, and then we somehow got here, it's ugly. I cannot read this with this ugly cover on it, so I was like, just looking at it is gonna piss me off. So that's how I got here, and this is the 4th book in the, I don't really know what it's called. People always call it ACOTAR, but I hate that acronym. So I guess it's the Court of Thorns and Roses series, so ACOTAR, and it is about Feyre's older sister Nesta. And I actually tried to read this like last month, and I had no clue who any of the characters were. There's so many characters in this series, like you gotta just binge read these, because if you stop for any amount of time, you're not gonna know what the hell's going on. So I was real confused. Apart from it being about Nesta, I really could not tell you what the plot is, because again, I don't remember any of it. So when I read it, I'm gonna let y'all know. Next up are the last couple of things that I got. I went to a Barnes & Noble the other day, and I got some books with my friends, and yeah, let's get into it. This first book is called The Last Beautiful Girl by Nina Lauren, and I honestly, this was like a mystery book thing. They had like this shelf in the YA section that was kind of like, these books were wrapped up with paper, and it was like a mystery buy, and it just kind of gave a vague description. So I'm not really sure what this is about, but from what I can remember, it is just about a girl who moves into like this haunted house, and she sort of starts this Instagram account from like all the stuff she finds in the house, like all this old jewelry and like these old clothes and stuff, but somehow like the house is haunted. I will insert a clip of me unwrapping this at the bookstore so you can see what I said there. It's probably more insightful than what I said here, but hopefully this is a good book. It's pretty, so I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt.
All right, yes, we're at Barnes & Noble.
We picked up a mystery book, okay, and it's a YA thriller. Black Mirror meets Darcy Coates. It also,
I don't know who that is.
Creepy house. So,
but you're trying to do Summerween, so
yeah, I think I know. I might know what this is. I don't. Because the book I'm thinking of is not pink.
The Last Beautiful Girl. What's the summary?
She's forced to move from New York to a tiny town. She's not thrilled. Silver lining, old house. Photographer, Instagram account.
Huh? Is it paranormal?
Yeah. But there's a darkness in the house. Okay, so no. And the darkness growing in East too. When girls start getting hurt, it's clear that something or someone in the house is growing in power.
So it's kind of vague.
Very vague.
But we'll see.
We'll see. I'll read it.
Next video.
Now that you're back from the past, we are going to go into the next book, which is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Ngan. Ngan? Again, not really sure what this is about, but I have wanted to read this for years. Like, it's so pretty to me, and every time I scroll past it, I'm like, damn, I really want to read that, and I just never got around to it. But this time I was like, I'm gonna buy the book. Again, from what I can remember from the plot or the premise, this is about a girl who comes from like the lowest caste in the world that she's from, which is called the paper caste, and she, every, I guess, once a decade, the king recruits like 8 women, I think it is, to be, I guess, their concubines, but they're called paper girls. But this girl, I think, has fire power, which is not normal, I think. And there is a romance, and I'm pretty sure the main character is gay. Like, I think that it's a lesbian romance, but don't quote me on that. But the whole idea of it just sounds really good to me, and I know it's a trilogy, and I've never heard anyone say anything negative about these books, which leads me to believe that I'm going to like it. Then we have the 5th season by N.K. Jemison. This is something that is all over the place. I'm sure if you have like read a fantasy before, somebody has recommended you read this. That's how I am. I've never read it, but I see it everywhere, and so I decided that this was the moment for me. And from what I can understand, this is a like dystopian sci-fi about this woman and her husband kills their son and then kidnaps the daughter. And the world they live in, there's like no clean water, the air is polluted, contaminated, like it's just like a rough, think Maze Runner movie 2. That's the vision that I got when I read the premise of this. It's just sand, dust, can't breathe, and she used to go on a journey, I guess, to either save the daughter or like clear the family's name. I'm not sure, but she's going on a journey. It's a sci-fi, and all the main characters are women, which I feel like is important because you don't really see that, and I for one am kind of hyped. I think it's gonna be good. And lastly, we have Soul Keeper by David Daglish. I'm not gonna lie to you, this just looked really cool in the store, and I was like, ooh, I kind of was on a cover buy situation there. The person on the cover is a priest, but he's also a monster hunter, so I'm getting Geralt from The Witcher, and that's really all I need to know. Like, he's killing monsters and he's a priest, which means it's probably gonna be messy, and I love mess. That's all the books that I have for y'all today. Hopefully you read some of these. If you have, leave a comment down below. Tell me if you're interested in any of these books or give me suggestions for books, and make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.